Hey peeps, Amma here. A very warm welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about how to deal with parenting stress. If you are interested to learn more about this topic, be sure to watch this video till the end. I have the honor to host Taflyn Allen, who is a qualified early childhood practitioner and have taught young children for 15 years. That's quite a lot of years to be teaching. I admire you for that. She's also a qualified inner life skills master life coach, homeschooling mom. Wow, I'm considering homeschooling my child, and amazing. This is really great. Sounds like you've done quite a lot of life-changing initiatives here. Homeschooling mom for just two boys, aged 11 and 13. And you're also a parent stress coach. Wow, Taflyn, you are phenomenal. Welcome to my channel. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, very exciting.
You're welcome. Yeah, so it's quite clear that you're doing quite a lot, a lot of interesting things that are also life-changing as well. So just to pick on one, which is the parent stress coach, since this video is clearly about, parenting stress. What inspired you to become a parent stress coach?
So through my own personal journey, I've suffered with anxiety and stress as long as I can remember, from about when I was 10 years old. So when I started, when I became a parent, and my eldest was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder, and he was really struggling with his own emotions and behavior, it was very, very stressful. And it got to a point where I knew that I needed help. So, and I was teaching at the time and working full day and having a little toddler at home and hubby. It was just so overwhelming. So I reached out, and I had an amazing, phenomenal life coach. And obviously at the time it was just to help me and work on my stuff and what was going on for me. But subsequently, what I noticed through my coaching journey, as I started to understand what was going on for me and started to heal, automatically everything in my life started to shift, and my relationship with my children and my family just got so amazing. And I was able to help and support my eldest, who was really struggling and going through so many therapies. And we just had such an awesome relationship. And I clicked that it was as I got better and was able to handle the situation and not react and not freak out, we were able to build this beautiful relationship. So a few years later, I decided, no, this is something I really want to pursue. Also noticing as a teacher that other parents also struggling with the same kind of stuff that I was, and wanted to help them on a deeper level, because it had really changed my life. So I went and then became a life coach and became a master coach. And through my own experience, through my teaching and my parenting, all the parenting classes and skills that I had done and everything, put together this program to help other parents so they can also, not stress out so much and have, build these lovely relationships with their children, and also help their children through modeling our own emotional regulation and modeling a calmer, more responsive stance when we're anxious or stressed. They naturally pick that up too. And that's what I found with my kids as well. They are a lot more able to be more introspective and regulated than what they were before, when I was also like panicking and stressing.
Yeah, it's inspiring just to listen to you talk and sharing with me how you used your experiences to help other parents as well. That is really, really beautiful. And it's quite clear also that parenting is not always, sunshine and roses, and that we do need someone to help us work through it. And on our call the other day, you spoke about the toolkit for calmness and emotion regulation. So I'm really keen to know what exactly is in this toolbox or toolkit, and how can parents put it to practice?
So through the coaching and the program, we create your toolbox, your parenting toolbox, which is your resources. And it splits into two parts. So the first part focuses on resources and tools for you in that moment when you get triggered, when you feel stress. We go through, what does that look like for you in your body so that you're able to become aware of it in the moment and then use techniques that help you. We tailor it obviously to you specifically, but it's mindfulness practices and breathing is really, really a good one.
Yeah.
So according to Dr. Jill Botley-Taylor, who is a brain scientist, she says that your body is flushed with hormones when you go into that stress state. So your brain actually moves from your calm, rational mind. When you're stressed and you're triggered, you go into your stress mode. And you've gone into fight, flight, or freeze. And then your body's like, what do I do now to survive? And you get flooded with hormones. And this takes 90 seconds. It takes 90 seconds for the hormones to get released and flushed through your system. So in those 90 seconds, what can you do to ground yourself, become present, move through that so that you don't react, but so you don't react, you rather respond, and are able to then be calm and present in that moment and deal with what is going on in that present moment. So
because if you don't deal, sorry to cut you short there, because if you don't deal with it, that's where you also find yourself getting into depression as well, right? And ultimately maybe even having stress as it is to kill you. I understand there are people who have died because of stress. That's how serious stress is, eh?
Yeah, stress is, it is very serious. And we live in very high stress situations. It's not just parenting. There are lots of other factors that are going on around us with work and finances. And I mean, the pandemic at the moment worldwide, there's a lot of stress that's happening. So it's moving out of that fight, flight, or freeze space and then back into your frontal cortex where you're able to use your rational mind and breathe and focus on what is happening in that moment. And then the second part of the toolbox is then using parenting skills to get whatever whatever's needed in that moment. So say you are getting ready for school, your little one's not listening, they are wanting to do their own thing, but you know that you're on time, constrained, you need to move it, and your little one's like, no, we don't want to get dressed now, and I'm busy doing this, and you start going into that stress space. So it's moving through that, using the tools. Is it, do you need to breathe in that moment? Do you maybe need to walk away in that moment? What do you need to pull out of your resource kit? And then once you're present, able to focus, then it's a parenting tool that you can then take from the kit. And it's like, okay, we can see that, you're having so much fun, but we really need to get dressed now. Are you going to dress yourself or is mom going to help you? So then you're taking and you're able to then engage with your child and be present to what it is that they need in that moment, not having in your head, oh my gosh, I've got to go now. So yeah, there's two parts to the toolkit that we help you create and put together for you and also for your family.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I mean, it is important given that this day and age, one has to be a busy mom or a busy dad. We have no choice but to be busy. It's just the world we live in, I know we do have some parents, that are stay-in moms or stay-in dads, but from what I've gathered, both parents have to be working. Most of the case, people around me, most people have to work, and because of that, you need to also be able to know what to do when you're faced with parenting stress, and so you can still keep up with the parenting and your work and whatever that you need to be doing. So I really like that that toolkit. One of the courses you offer talks about the expectations. I think this is a very important thing to touch about. We all have these expectations about our children, but this course talks about the expectations of parents put on their children. How does having realistic expectations, as parents, contribute to reducing rather the stress that comes with being a parent?
Yeah. Very, very true. We have expectations of our children and how we want our home life to be and how we would like our children to be and how we'd like to be with them. I mean, we have expectations for everything in life, really. And that's a good thing. It's good to have expectations because they help us make choices and they keep us in alignment with who we are and motivate us and inspire us. Where expectations can become a little bit tricky when we put them on our children is we aren't always actually clear of what our expectations are. Our expectations are created from our value system, our belief system, our cultural system, how we grew up, and the expectations that were put on us. And we are often on almost like an autopilot. We are going through life just expecting and not really being clear on what our own expectations are. So when we're clear on what our actual expectations are, and when we go through the coaching program, what we do is we look at what your belief systems are. What are your core values? Because that's often an indicator of why we have the expectations that we do, and our expectations often put on they highlight those hidden triggers, like why actually when our expectation isn't met, we get upset. It's not so much the expectation, but it's the attachment that we have to the expectation, how we want it to look, that outcome. And when that isn't met, then yes, we get either upset or we feel frustrated. So once we're clear on what our expectations are, we can then look at, is this actually a realistic expectation for our child? Is it age appropriate? Is it appropriate? Is it realistic for your child? Your child could have maybe, like, my son has sensory processing disorder, so I needed to shift my expectations because he wasn't actually able to. He's not like every other child. Not that all children are the same. That's the awesome thing, is they are unique.
We're all not the same. Not even about children. It's just a human thing. We're all different.
So true. So it's looking at, is this expectation realistic for your child? Is it age appropriate? Is it clear? Does your child actually know what your expectation is? Sometimes we just expect them to know. And we do this in life as well. Like, if I'm upset and my husband doesn't give me a hug, it's like, why didn't he hug me? But I never told them, when I'm upset, I need a hug, dude, please. So I can't get upset unless I actually let him know. Yeah. So in parenting, have we let our children know what is expected of them? So when mom's talking to you, I need you to look at me so that I know that you're listening. Because a hidden value behind that is, if you're not listening, I feel disrespected. And one of my values is respect. So then I'm triggered subconsciously, and then I get upset because you're being disrespectful. I feel that you're being disrespectful. But really what the reality could just be is that your child is so engaged in something that they're doing, they're not actually aware of what's going on. So then you just say, if they're clear and you've communicated your expectations with your children, like when mom's speaking, I need you to look at me. They know. So we set them up for success, not for failure.
Absolutely.
And sorry.
Yeah, and also the other thing is we need to also understand that our children, we shouldn't expect our children to do the things that we used to do when growing up. I've met some parents where they would say, I was very smart when at school. I used to pass with A's, and you are not. You need to do that. What's wrong with you? Things like that. You shouldn't compare yourself, to your children. You need to understand their context. You need to actually find out what's making them not to perform the way maybe you want them to perform, and support them to do that, rather than putting pressure and just expecting them to do it without you supporting them or understanding their situation. Because really, you can't compare how you grew up and expect them to be better or the way you were, because things are just different.
So true. And you could find then in that situation, your value is excellence. So your child's not meeting up to what your expectation of excellence is. This is one of your values. So just that big button being pushed there. So understanding yourself and what why you have these expectations, so that you can then be realistic with dealing with your individual child. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. That's just amazing. I can listen to you the whole day and night. I think I need to come for some coaching as well. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm also a parent, and I understand, for the need for parents to to be able to understand the children, we need, and I think you touched on it as well in the previous question, that it's important to understand your child or your children. Why is this important though? We know it's important, but why? And how does it help with reducing parenting stress?
So it kind of flows on from the previous question with expectation. Is understanding, not so much understanding your child, but understanding that your child is an individual and not necessarily a mini version of you or an extension of you. I mean, our children are ours and they come from us, but they are themselves their own little beings with their own ideas, their own thoughts, and their own expectations as well. So understanding that our children are their own being, and that our job as parents isn't to make them like us, but to help them be the best versions of themselves.
I like that.
And to do that, we need to take away the judgment, and then again, the whole expectation thing comes into is what really is our expectation and our hope for our children, and how do we then help them make the right choices for themselves, understand who they are, so they can be the best versions of themselves.
Great.
So taking that to how does that work with your stress is their behavior then isn't personal, because if you're seeing it as, I need you to be like this, or I want you to be like that, and they're not, that causes friction, which causes stress. So when you're able to take that out and see them as their own individual beings, and our role as parents is to lead and guide, the stress naturally shifts.
That's true. I want to ask, I'm going to ask you this question now that I find it very interesting and tricky at the same time. Being a teacher as well, a former teacher, but I know once a teacher, always a teacher. But having taught for a couple of years, and now as a parent, I've come across, learners or children that they're just so difficult to both their parents and their teachers. Well, it's not like some children, when they're difficult, it's not always the case that they're doing it intentionally. But I have this case study of a child who is not performing well at school and does not listen to both their parents and teachers. For example, they're just untouchable. The parents try this, it doesn't work, and they're not performing well at school. The teachers are struggling. And, if both teachers and parents are struggling to get the learner's attention, it can come across as like, wow, is there any other solution here? So I just want to find out from you as an expert in this regard, how can the parents and the teachers learn to understand what this child is going through so they can be able to help this child better? What is the solution here?
Often behind a behavior is an emotion. So if we were to look at, say, anger is what we're seeing. If we were to imagine it as an iceberg, that's just the tip that you're experiencing, is the anger and the disrespect, and then I'm not going to listen and I'm fighting. But really underneath that, underneath the ocean, if we look at it, it's so much bigger, and there's lots of reasons as to why that anger is manifest. So is it feeling overwhelmed? Is it self-esteem issues? Are we not coping? There's always a reason behind a behavior. And if it's anger, there's a lot going on for that child inside, and they are likely, they're not knowing what to do with that. And then they're getting frustration and anger, maybe not necessarily, but from outside as well, from parents and teachers' expectations. So my suggestion in that moment would be to sit down with your child at a time when you're both in a good space. So not fighting, when we've moved to, we're in it's a safe space, it's a good space, and come from a space of curiosity and just inquiring what might be going on, how are they feeling, and see if you can support them in sharing with you what might be going on underneath the anger. Like, why are we feeling like that? And you can ask some questions, but to come from more of a curious space and an inquiring space, so that they can share with you, and also to be open to having outside support. Maybe your child isn't feeling that they can share it with you, so maybe a therapist, or looking at more professional guidance as well, because it takes a village to raise children. And I think in today's world, we often feel like we need to be perfect and we need to get this right. And it's okay that we ask and reach out for help. Definitely.
Of course. Absolutely. I actually had a conversation about, the topic of, the title or the statement rather of it takes a village to raise a child. I had a conversation about this on my YouTube channel. I actually put it up for people to check. I'll put it in the description below. It's really important. Like that statement, we shouldn't underestimate it. It carries so much meaning, and it's so true. It really does takes a village to raise a child. It's not, a one person's or two people's job, just as it is. It takes a lot. So now just to conclude, I know I'm sure we have parents who have been listening to us here, and maybe others are not even parents, but maybe they're planning to be parents, or they just work with children in general, and they would like to get hold of you, or just to continue this conversation, or just to inquire more about, how to manage parenting stress. How can they get hold of you? How can you be contacted?
So on my website, which is taflynallencoaching.com, there are links to my social media and my contact details, and I also have a contact form. So if you want to just pop in a question, or you can just reach me from all avenues on my web page.
Okay, I'll put that. I'll put the details on how to contact you in the description box below. But Taflyn, this brings us to the end of this conversation, but I would have liked to just talk to you more. But what you've shared, I'm sure is enough to help, people, parents, anyone concerned to be a parent, on how to manage parenting stress, because it's surely not always, sunshine, and at times where you just need to know how to manage it all. So thank you so much for making the time for this critical conversation. It's just been an honor talking to you and having you today.
Tim, thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to have opportunity to share a bit of knowledge and insights. Yes, I mean, like you said, parenting it's hard. It's the best, most wonderful, amazing job ever. And also at the same time, the hardest, scariest thing you're going to do. It's everything all rolled into one. So to have the opportunity to share a little bit about that and some insights is awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you have enjoyed my conversation with Taflyn on how to deal with parenting stress, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. And if you have any comments about today's conversation, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the Amma and Peeps YouTube channel. It will be really great to have you as part of the Peeps. Until we see each other again next time, take care and goodbye.